All right. Hey guys. So today on How I Got Started as a Host, we have Bill Faeth you are the founder of STR, excuse me, if you could say it.
Build short-term rental wealth.
Boom.
That's why we all get into short-term rentals, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll go ahead and pop your information up top. And you are the man, I hear, when it comes to learning all about short-term rentals. I understand you do coaching, and tell me, how did you get started in terms of coaching and also with short-term rentals?
So I'll start with coaching because it's kind of personal for me. My entire family were educators. I grew up with a single mother in Bakersfield, California, not too far away from where you're at. But my grandparents were teachers. My grandmother was a 1984 National Teacher of the Year. And we were all athletes. My grandfather was a professional athlete. My mother played basketball in college. I ended up playing professional golf for a living after going to UCLA and playing golf there. And, it just kind of manifested. My mom was a coach. My grandfather was a coach. So when I quit playing professional golf, I became a golf coach and started the golf program at Cal State University of Bakersfield. Quickly found out you can't really make any money, let alone pay your bills, when you only get paid $7,500 a year. Yeah. So I started coaching golf at the university, and then I started teaching golf as well, and kind of just fell in love with teaching. And kind of fast forwarding about 25 years from there, I got into the short-term rentals, probably like a lot of people did. My wife and I bought a vacation home, and then I used a property management company to manage it because I just wanted to be hands-off on it. And to be honest with you, they sucked. They weren't transparent. They didn't know how to maximize, revenue. It felt like I was getting nickel and dimed with every maintenance issue, paying $1,000 for deep cleans, all the things the horror stories that we hear about PMs. Mm-hmm. So I fired them. I took it over on my own. And then you'll see the case study, or you might have seen the case study to where the property you're going to show is called Vista. It's in Gulf Shores, Alabama. My property management company did $55,000 on that house in annual revenue. This is a tier 2 house in Gulf Shores, and they didn't know how to market it and position it. And I owned a $3 million marketing agency, so I know a thing or two about online optimization, SEO, social media, Facebook ads, blah, blah, blah. So when I took it over, I immediately got it on. I got my own direct booking platform. I listed it. They were on only VRBO. I put it on Airbnb. I put it on Huffy. I listed it everywhere.
Yeah. I
implemented automation. I switched over to OwnerRez so I could start automating. But most importantly, I started running Facebook ads and building its own brand on Facebook. So we started taking a tremendous amount of direct bookings, which is great.
Yeah.
Building email lists, all that type of stuff. And so that's how that became my first short-term rental. It started as a family vacation home. We were going to pay the property management company to go in and manage it, and we can take care of the mortgage and all that type of stuff. We just didn't have that confidence with them. So I took it over and used my sales and marketing and business experience background to start turning it into a viable business entity. And now it's a $100,000 a year property. Wow,
that's amazing. I love that. But basically, because somebody else wasn't maybe necessarily doing the best job, you just it birthed something new for you.
I think birthed is the right term, Brian, because there was no intention of doing it, right, at that time. And, really what's interesting about it is that I had to get over the same mental hurdles that I teach people to get over in the industry now. And that's, wow, how am I going to self-manage this from Nashville, Tennessee, when it's a 7.5-hour drive, to get down there? How do I find my cleaners? How do I quality control the cleaning process? What happens when the refrigerator breaks down or the Wi-Fi goes down? And what I've learned through doing 27 startups, and I had the same mental blocks, is it's just all mindset. Once you can get over those hurdles and you know where to find those cleaners, the quality control process to put into place, the checklist that you need, and you have the resources to be able to define them, it's really not that difficult. But it's what holds us back, kind of as we were talking about in pre-show. You're getting ready or thinking about dabbling into Airbnb short-term rental, but I'm sure that you have some of those mental hurdles as well. I don't have time. I don't trust PMs. They charge 20-30%. How do I make any money? Can I do it remotely? Do I need to have a co-host? All those things that we all struggle with when we get started.
Yeah, because it's there's so many there's just so many variables I feel like with a short-term rental, where a lot of people there is that kind of block of like, oh, like I don't want to handle all those different things, or I'm not sure if I can handle those different things. Yeah, but you've like learned and kind of gotten down to science, it sounds like.
I don't think it's science. I mean, I think a lot of it's trial and error, and it's different in every market that I've invested into. So my portfolio is not just in, on the beach. I'm in mountains, I'm in lakes. I'm kind of diversified all over the country. There's something that I learned when I helped another person in this space build short-term rental university, right? And investing, I only invest into drive-in vacation rental markets. That's all that I invest into. One, I'm glad I'm not in urban areas, during COVID. Those rental arbitrage people in those markets are the ones that have been crushed, right? Everybody wants to get out of Los Angeles and they're going to Palm Springs and even a little bit further to Joshua Tree Forest.
Yes.
Or they're going up to Bass Lake or to Big Bear or whatever it is, right? So vacation rental markets, if you really research data through AirDNA, through Airbnb, VRBO, all the data, acquisition sites that are out there, you're going to see that they were the most recession-proof in 2008, 9, and 10. And they're the markets that are thriving today going through COVID. And I'm a firm believer that 2021, based on what's happening right now, I mean, it's like if you walk out your door in Southern California, you're going to get shot on site. You're like on true lockdown. I'm just kidding about that. But there's going to be so much pent-up demand for people that really didn't come out of lockdown in the Northeast, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey. You guys came out. Now you're back in. Dallas, Texas, even a part of the South is gone, Michigan, Oregon. So all of these traditional vacation rental markets, Joshua Tree Forest, Yellowstone, Park City, all these places, I believe they're gonna have an even better 2021 than we did in 2020. And the interesting thing is, I think when we see reports in Q1 of 2021, we're gonna see those traditional markets, the Gatlinburgs of the world, the Destin, Floridas, I think you're going to see that they were up 25 to 35% over 2019 numbers. So it's a good time to invest if you have cash. Real estate valuations in those markets are at an all-time high.
Right.
But I also think we're going to have a good 1 to 2 year run even after 2020 as well.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Because people are going to continue to travel domestically, I think, for quite a bit until we're comfortably allowed to kind of travel more internationally.
And remember, that varies on state to state. So I think I shared with you, I just flew home from Cabo San Lucas last night. So there's no parameters on me here in Tennessee, but what is the parameters in California? I'm sure that's different. If I'm in New York, I got to quarantine for 14 days. It's just like going to Canada, right? So I mean, now I'm doing my part. I went and got tested this morning. And I've already got a rapid test, and I tested negative. But I got to go back in 3 days to make sure that I have 2 rapid tests, because obviously they're not the greatest things in the world with their success rate. But I agree with you. As things open up, I think you're going to see that. And that's one of the reasons that the drive-in markets are so important. You look at, and the interesting thing about it, Brian, is California is a great example. A lot of people think, okay, I'm going to drive to Arrowhead. I'm going to drive to Bass Lake. I'm going to go to Palm Springs. Joshua Tree is like one of the fastest growing STR markets in the country right now. But you know what? They're driving to Boise. They're going to Yellowstone. They're going to, Glacier National Forest. It's not just in that centralized market. People are willing to drive 10 to 15 hours, to go to these drive-in destinations. It's insane. So like Cabo was great for this wedding I went to, and there's a lot of great investment opportunities down there, but it's not for me. I would never buy a place down there because people have to fly in from Southern California, Central America, South America, and North America to be able to get there as a destination.
Gotcha. So internationally, have you ever thought of any short-term rentals, like outside of? No?
I'm not interested. There's too much risk for me. So everything I teach and build short-term rental wealth, and for those of you watching, you can go to Facebook, type that in, go to my group, it's free, is about, right up there, wherever Brian's putting it. I want to mitigate risk. So like, I do the analysis in those markets, and there's like this 3-step checklist that I believe everybody needs to follow when they start going and looking at their first property, right? Number 1, identify your why you want to buy a short-term rental. Why are you going into this market? Why am I going to Yellowstone? So I only invest in the properties, Brian, that me and my wife want to vacation at, and that we're going to want to have in our portfolio when we retire. The plan is to take this monstrosity of a house that I live in here, that I could never afford in California, but I can afford in Nashville. It's like 7,000 square feet, to sell this and not have a home base any longer. So I have 8 properties currently. The plan is to add 2 more in the exact places that we want to go. That means we rotate some out and we rotate some in. So my wife and I went on vacation with our 2 young daughters to Yellowstone in June of this year. We'd never been there before. What do you think's on our bucket list to own a house to go to now? Yellowstone, right? So that's why I'm looking in, kind of western Montana. I'll stay away from Jackson, Wyoming. It's too expensive. I don't believe I'll get the best return on investment in Jackson, Wyoming. So I'm looking in eastern Idaho and western Montana, around the West Yellowstone area. One of the things I believe in to have success, and why I've had success in building a multi-million-dollar portfolio, is finding things that are unique about the area and or the property. So one of the things that I love that's different, a lot of people have invested into Jackson. Well, it's like the largest contingent of billionaires, in a DMA in the world. So they drive the prices up for everything, right? Jackson, you have to go into Yellowstone. You got the Tetons, you got all that stuff there. But it's like a 20-minute drive to the Tetons, and it's an hour to get to the southern gate of Yellowstone. Well, if I can invest into West Yellowstone, it's 1 mile and I'm in the park. That is unique. Yeah. And if you've ever been to Yellowstone, it's like a figure 8 to go through it, and there's a road that goes right through the middle, and the only place you can get directly there is West Yellowstone. So that's unique for me. Does that make sense? That access, because so many people that go to Yellowstone or they return, they literally know they're wasting hours upon hours by staying north or south. So they look for that West Yellowstone market. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Same thing about properties. The property I sent over to you, the Bella Vista house, my house in Gulf Shores, I took from $55,000 to $100,000. It wasn't like I invested into Seaside. If anybody's heard of Seaside, which is the higher end in Rosemary Beach, just east of Destin, Florida, about halfway between Destin and Panama City, right? And everybody in Seaside, you can rent golf carts, they have all the amenities and that type of stuff. But when I invested into a 2,600 square foot, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, unobstructed views of the water, you can hear it, you can smell it, you can taste it from our upper deck and lower deck, 96 steps from the ocean. You see what you're the marketing guy, right? Like I am.
Yeah.
I'm not a short walk, I'm 96 steps. I'm using specificity and how I market that house, right? So I had this huge mural in it that I turned into an Instagram contest for people to take selfies and use hashtags to give a week's way on an annual basis, and the engagement's ridiculous with what they're doing.
That's brilliant.
But I was the first person in this market to add a golf cart and included it, brand new 4-seater golf cart. I added 2 SUPs, 2 stand-up paddle boards, 2 kayaks, 2 bikes, 6 beach chairs, 2 umbrellas. And I included all of that shit. I didn't charge for it like everybody else did.
Yeah, most everyone charges extra for those things.
So that was like $8,000 investment. Well, you know what I did? I raised my ADR by $125 a night. Wow. At a 60% occupancy, do the math on that return on investment.
Yeah.
I just opened a lake property and I put in a coffee bar. I hate coffee, Brian. I've never drank it in my life. But I've got probably the most Mac Daddy coffee bar that you could imagine. K-Cups, Cuisinart, Frother, cold brew, grinders, all this type of stuff, and 37 different types of coffee, from Italian espresso all the way to hot chocolate. And I've got the organic, breakfast blend, Costa Rican, whatever, beans and all that. It cost me less than $1,000. But nobody in this market had a coffee bar at the lake property. Increased my ADR by $29. How long does that take me to get a return on investment? Built a $17,000 outdoor fireplace, pergola, lights on the water, 10 feet away from the lake, on the water, and angled it to where you're looking at the lake.
Yeah.
Increased my ADR by $140. See how I'm it's what I call stacking value.
Yeah.
Doing the research through AirDNA and also Airbnb and VRBO to see who has these amenities, and then figuring out incremental. And I didn't just go from 0 to add 140. I started at like 75, then I added another 20, then I added another 20 to work its way up to maximize my profit.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. Also, just you're totally selling like the experience when you add those like beautiful things that like you were saying, a lot of other Airbnbs didn't necessarily have these certain amenities. So when you do that, you differentiate yourself, and you're able to like totally the goal is to fill up your calendar,
I disagree with that last statement. I agree with you all
really?
up until that point.
Okay, wait. Okay.
100% correct, right? So here's what people don't understand. Okay. You're the marketer, right? What do we sell? You're in digital marketing. I own a marketing agency. Mm-hmm. We're not selling a product. We're not selling the benefits. We're selling an outcome. So what I look at is when my guest checks out of my property and they put that key in the ignition and they're backing up and driving out of one of my properties, mm-hmm. what's the emotion they're going through? What are they thinking about right then? That's what I'm selling to them.
Yeah.
Now, if we think about what's a guest thinking about when they buy? Oh my God, I saw that amazing Airbnb in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Honey, I'm gonna book this house, then let's figure out what we're gonna do in Gulf Shores, Alabama. It doesn't work that way. Nobody ever books, unless they're geeky hosts like us, nobody ever books based on the house. We're secondary. Yeah. What we're doing when we get there, you think anybody's ever picked out a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in Anaheim, right, and then said, oh my God, look how cute this is. We're gonna go stay in Anaheim.
Right.
Oh, honey, did you know Disneyland's like 10 minutes away? We're gonna go to Disneyland. No, they're going to Disneyland first, then they're finding a place where they're gonna stay.
Right.
I'm going to Vail I almost said a bad word, to ski, and then I'm gonna find an Airbnb that's gonna have the proximity. I can walk out, whatever it is. It's got the fireplace, the fire pit, whatever I need. Mm-hmm. So if we think about that mentality and shift our mindset and how we're marketing and how we're positioning, that it's everything outside of our 4 walls is why people are staying there. Even I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'll share a little secret with you. I don't own an Airbnb in Nashville, Tennessee.
Really?
It's too volatile from a regulation standpoint. I'm not interested in that drama. But you know what? It's the #1 bachelorette party city in the country. And there's so much arbitrage that's going on. Airbnb actually owns a 400-unit building in an apartment complex. And my video graphic designer tech guy that works for me at Build Short-Term Rental Wealth used to live in this building. And it's a shit show in that building every night, from people throwing up in the doggy dog wash and all that type of stuff.
Got it.
But you know what? You can have the coolest theme, 2-bedroom apartment, condo, whatever it is. Those bachelorettes or the business travelers mm-hmm. or the nurses are not coming because of your property. They're coming about what happens on that experience outside of it. So if we can mesh those two and position the experience outside and how that ties into our property, that's where you're going to win from your marketing and your positioning, in my opinion.
Okay, it's like for me, it's like a paradigm shift, I think, of like kind of seeing that. I understand definitely that, like I went to Belize one time and I went to go see the Blue Hole. I didn't go to stay at the Airbnb. I just I just picked whatever place was there, In terms of not wanting to fill fully your calendar, was that something you said you disagreed with, or? Yes,
I do disagree. So a lot of people shoot for like 100% occupancy. It's very simple. I mean, from my business background, if I'm at 100% occupancy, I'm not charging enough. Gotcha. I believe in, at least if I'm in a like non-vacation rental market,
got it,
I'm looking at like 75% to 80%. And I'm adjusting and I'm literally managing my pricing strategy accordingly. So as I stated earlier, I'm only in vacation rental markets. Yeah. And right now, my #1 property that I have is in Estes Park, Colorado. And that is a $1,575 a night property. That thing right now is at $12,000 for the week of July 4th. So that's, I think, July 1st or 2nd on a Saturday, Saturday to Saturday, $12,000. Where it should be roughly around $7,500 to $8,000, about $9,000. We'll keep that price there. As we get closer, we'll incrementally bring it down. But we also know the data that on that house specifically, it's typically booked 27 days in advance. So I will keep that price point all the way till we get to 30 days. Then I'll incrementally starting to lower it if I need to increase on occupancy. But one of the things that I see hosts do is we do not price our premium dates high enough. And what I can tell you, out of my 8 properties, 6 are already booked for that week. And I typically increase my rates by between 25 to sometimes even 50% based on demand. Some people may be watching this and thinking, you know what, that's price gouging. Well, you know what? Hotels do it, airlines do it, car companies do it.
Yeah.
Everybody does it. It's what I call dynamic pricing. I do use a revenue management platform called Price Labs, and it's learned my algorithm. I'm still teaching it on my newest property, which is only 2.5 months old. But you set your minimum, you set your base rate, you set your high price. And what I see is people are using don't set a high price.
Right.
So the house in Gulf Shores used to be a $2,500 a week property. I turned it into a $5,000 a week property, prime time. I've got that booked that week of 4th of July for $7,500. I've got it booked over Memorial Day weekend for $6,000. That people are willing to pay a premium for those dates, as well as when you have the amenities. And I'm going to go take a step back. I'm not discounting the amenities and everything that we talked about or the house. I just want you to understand that it's supplemental to why they're coming to your area. It's very important, and all those things make up the total experience. But also, if you have those amenities and you have a higher ADR, you can let your property breathe. And one, how hard is it to manage? Two, your costs go up. So, like in the Gulf Shores market, Brian, I'm one of the few people that are still doing Saturday to Saturday, 7 days. The average people are doing 2-night stays. And that's crazy to me because they can be tripling, paying 3 times more on cleaning costs. My cleaning costs $325 a clean. So if I'm doing 3 of those in a week, we're talking $1,000 versus only $300. That's $700 or $650 additional operational cost a week. And they do that because that's what Airbnb is teaching people through, their smart pricing and to maximize occupancy, but they're not running P&Ls and they're not really looking at their cash flow and their revenue.
Okay, so now that makes more sense of why maximum occupancy isn't necessarily the goal, but rather like basically maximum profit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was
the goal is EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, and depreciation.
Yeah.
It's net profit, it's net income, and that's where the one thing to where I think I'm completely different is I bring the business perspective.
Yeah.
To short-term rentals for people that want to build a portfolio of wealth for retirement. I'm not here to talk about rental arbitrage, co-hosting, all the cash flow stuff that has this risk. I'm looking at investing into appreciating assets. Because look, if I can take a $55,000 property, turn it into a $100,000 property, and I can still get that market's appreciated by between 10 to 15% annually over the last few years.
Yeah.
That's a double win for me. So that's the other component that I'm looking into is I want to see the scale. Is it going up or down from an appreciation standpoint? Because that's the bonus for me outside of that cash flow.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that. Let's show off one of those properties that. Cool. Make it a little bigger. By the way, you are just a wealth of knowledge. I'm just gotta say that.
I will. If there's one thing that I will do on this podcast with you, it's probably overload your viewers. So
no,
you need to watch it 2 or 3 times.
No, it's so good. It's so good. Okay. Cool. Can you see your property?
I can. Yeah. This is Bella Vista. This is located in Fort Morgan, Alabama, about 15 minutes west of Gulf Shores.
Awesome.
This is what I would call a tier 2 beach market, with like Destin to Panama City being a tier 1 market. This house is roughly 2,600 square feet, 4-bedroom, 3-bath. The master suite, as you go through these photos, is ridiculously large. The views are basically being on the beach, even though we're 96 steps from the beach. Here's the deal. I paid $640,000 for this house. At the time, this house would in that Rosemary Beach seaside area, which is where I also looked at, would have cost me close to $2 million.
Wow.
So there's no way that I could get the same return, obviously making the $2 million investment, that I would make on the $600,000 investment. So buying right is the first thing that we have to do. And that's why I use a platform called AirDNA, to do the research prior to.
Got it. Yeah, and I've heard of the platform and stuff. You highly recommend it?
I do not buy a property without it. I look at the average daily rate. I look at the revenue. I look at the competition. I look, as I just mentioned, the cleaning costs. I look at the average stay length.
Yeah.
I look at where the bookings are coming in from. It'll break it down from VRBO, Airbnb. I look at a lot of this different data to correlate and really mitigate my risk before I invest.
Yeah.
So for me, this house was 50% personal, 50%, well, it started 100% personal. I still did my research before we bought it. But what you're gonna see is the thing that I like about when you get to the inside pictures, this is not a typical vacation rental. It's a custom built home with finishes and things that you normally wouldn't see in a typical STR.
Awesome. Let's dive in. Yeah.
So those are the two balconies. The one on the bottom is right off of the sitting area, the kitchen. The top one, and this is something that I learned to market later, the top one's right off the master suite. You could literally fit 40 people on each of those balconies.
Yeah.
One of the things that we started selling, Brian, was the copywriting, you'll appreciate this as a digital marketer, tells a story. It's not the very typical type of copywriting that you'd see in a listing. But on that top deck, you can go to blueangels.com and the Blue Angels practice right over our house, like legit, not like a mile out in the ocean, right over the house, over the beach. So we literally sit and we would take videos with our iPhones, pictures, and we market to people, that they can sit there and watch the Blue Angels, because you can't see that anyplace else. And it's like the coolest thing ever.
That's awesome. Very cool. Yeah, those decks are, it looks like you could definitely host a lot of people there. Or like, That's simple. This beautiful photo. Front. We have.
That's the upper deck.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
That's a view from the upper deck.
That's another view.
That's the lower deck.
Oh, there's the paddle boards you were talking
And
about.
the paddle boards, bikes, and golf cart.
That's so cool. And that's all, like, it comes with the rental.
100%, all included.
That's so nice. Oh, so you don't have to, like, as a guest, you don't have to worry about, like, oh, where am I going to rent this? Or, yeah, it's always so nice when hosts have that provided. Very cool. Some great reviews. The inside, yes, we're inside. Nice. I love the color scheme. It's so cool. Good stuff.
So that mural, when we bought this house, Brian, I was seriously contemplating painting it. My wife said, don't paint it. And so if you see the little picture frame in the middle to the left of the word beach, that is our photo for them. It's also in our welcome guide and all this type of stuff. It's our Instagram contest.
Yeah.
So they tag us, they use 3 hashtags, they can post as many photos as they want. Whoever gets the most engagement through 2020 and through 2019 and in 2021, they get a free week.
Oh my gosh. Heck yeah.
So we've incorporated that at every one of our properties, and at least one of the photos has to be taken in front of the mural, which has been fantastic. So people have started their own hashtag called Beach Mural, and like Bella Vista Beach Mural, that type of stuff. And it's been really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I kind of want to, like, Photoshop myself in the photo.
So the other thing that I think is really important is about branding your house. This is Bella Vista Beach House. The mural's cool, but if you see on the coffee table there, that is an iron octopus. His name is Ollie. Ollie is our mascot. So we move Ollie around the house. He's in a lot of our pictures and that type of stuff. So we want to have that brand association and make it more than just a name. We have wine glasses that are, logoed. At my other property, we have hats, we have sunglasses, we have a lot of different things that we use based on where the property is and how they would end up using things. Beach towels that are embroidered, golf cart with the stickers on it for branding, all that type of stuff. Something that's really important. People are not going to remember your house unless you have brand associated with it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. I love that. Ollie?
Ollie, yes.
Ollie, heck yeah.
Ollie the octopus. So this is our chef's kitchen. This is one thing that we loved about this house. You can see the dual sinks. There's one in the island right there. There's also dual ovens over to the right-hand side. I haven't looked at these pictures for a while. Hopefully there'll be another picture. You'll see that we have a very large commercial refrigerator and freezer. That actually cuts back to that's the master suite. That's half of the master suite. That is a king bed. To the left is a massive bedroom. I'm sure it'll probably flip around to the next image. So this is the bathroom. The bathroom alone is 400 square feet. Yeah. So outside of removing the mural, that 400 square feet, and then the bedroom's about 480 square feet. So we're talking almost 900 square feet just in the master suite. I wanted to turn that into 2 bedrooms and a bathroom to turn it into more of a traditional 5-4 to increase occupancy. I'm glad I didn't because it was so early in the game for me. I didn't really understand going after my ideal buyer. So now this master suite is really what we're selling because the ideal buyer is the booker, right? So the second family is staying in a different room. The kids are staying in other rooms. So we're really focusing on, the wife and the husband being able to have this, 5-star spa-like environment without being bothered by the kids. So they have their own private deck, they have this master suite, and they have this ridiculously overkill bathroom.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Like, I haven't seen something like that. Yeah, gosh.
And then you notice about every 8 or 9 photos, you'll see that I take a review,
yeah,
and put that in as well.
That's so smart.
Which I highly recommend. I don't see many people doing that.
Yeah.
So this is the downstairs bathroom off of the bedroom downstairs and also the kitchen.
That's the meal. The beach, excellent. Yeah, you're like a stone's throw away from the beach.
96 steps to the water.
Yeah. I could throw a stone in there. Let's see.
Day bed with trundle. And then the next one is bedroom number 2 and bedroom number 3.
For the kids.
Bedroom number 4, full over full bunks.
And in terms of the furniture, like, how did you, I guess, pick the furniture or decide, or did it come with when you bought that?
Some of it came with it. The bunks were brand new. The couches and everything were new. Actually, I probably need to update the outdoor bottom deck photos. We've updated that outdoor furniture as well. So basically, we just buy local from local places, and my wife and I go and let my wife does the design. A lot of this came with it that we ended up making some small changes. We've repainted the house.
Yeah.
The lake house link that I sent to you, that is like 100% designed to mine and my wife's taste, as opposed to the beach house here. And you can see how dramatically different it is. So one thing that I think becomes really important from a beach standpoint, because of the sand and because of the weather, is you really have to invest into stuff that are going to really be able to sustain that type of weather with the humidity.
Yeah.
The heat and the sand. It's different than other markets.
Right.
So like the couches we have there are a completely different material than, like, I put in white couches at my lake house. I could never have those at a beach house. And there's my boy Ollie.
Yes, Ollie, that's so cool. Where did you find this whole, I guess,
same place we bought the furniture.
Oh, how cool.
Before that was sitting there, and the thing was like $800. And I told my wife, we got to get this. This needs to be our match. She's like, I'm not spending $800 on octopus. I said, yeah, we're buying it. She wouldn't let me buy it. So I went back the next day while they were at the beach and bought it and just had it sitting there when they came home from the beach.
Oh, that's awesome. It's brilliant, like, to have that branding. Like, that's so, it's fun. It's just like, you gotta have fun with it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The beach, the golf cart. Beautiful kitchen. Oh, look at that.
So this is something that I also think is kind of important. We had a little housewarming party when we were there just to meet the neighbors and stuff. So one thing that I think a lot of people don't do is they don't stage. They just have the kitchen the way that it is, or the dining table, or whatever it is. And it's things that I think become really important just to showcase, have some food, showcase the size, to how your guests would actually use it.
Yeah. So you said, did you invite the neighbors over?
We did, yes.
That's that's the part where I like, where it's like, you gotta, I get to know the neighbors.
Yeah, so we actually sent out invitations to everybody in the neighborhood. We probably had 20, 30 people that came by. We did wine and appetizers for a couple of hours. And, there wasn't that many people because a lot of them live remotely, and then STR, and then come down just over holidays and that type of stuff. But it's nice to get to know them. And that's one thing that I think is really important, specifically when you're going to self-manage, just in case you need help. So this house here, and I had a second property down there as well. remember, we just went through Hurricane Sally. And actually, we had 2 hurricanes that come through there. So, I mean, when they shut down power and we had to get guests out, and this was the eye of the storm, essentially, we needed everybody in that neighborhood, to help, especially for people like us that couldn't get down there, for a week, after the hurricane.
Yeah.
So I think it becomes really important that you build relationships with your neighbors when you are in a time of need, and if you can help them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All for the community. Like that's so important. Yes. Okay. Oh, giant. That's really cool.
You gotta love the overkill on the connection part. That's my youngest daughter. She crushes me every time we play.
Oh, really? Oh, no way. That's
so
awesome.
I also think that it's important to have people in some of your images. So that way people can connect with other people and resonate. And actually it was Uber back in the day in 2010, 11, when they built their first website. They were one of the first people that I saw, or major companies that started incorporating people, and most importantly, their ideal buyers, into their images.
Yeah, no, and that's like brilliant. Like to think about having your children or your guests being able to play some of these games, and I love the oversize because it just makes it more fun.
Agreed.
Yeah, because you're on vacation. Yeah. Jays. Yes, washer and dryer, so needed. Oh, it's beautiful. It's nice. Oh, wow.
Those things are insanely amazing. I've never been to an air show. I've never been to any of that type of stuff, but listening to them and watching them fly by is it's awesome.
Yeah.
That's the beach right in front of our house.
Wow.
And then just showcasing, we've got a couple of community pools that are a short walk away from the house. And that's one of the reasons that we have the golf cart. They don't really need the golf cart to go to the beach, but they do need it to go. It's about 400, 500 yards to get to the pools.
Got it. Oh, tennis courts.
Yep, 2 tennis courts.
That's awesome. And then ending with a review. Love it. That's so cool. Just like you rolling through those photos, I learned so much. Like it was like, oh my gosh, like in terms of like branding or showcasing and all that. Like that's so
yeah, and you don't have to spend big dollars like that. Can you pull up the other one, the lake house, real quick? And I want to let's go through like the first 5 to 10 photos. We'll do it super quick, and I want to show you some things that I think can really make a huge difference. And this is really my wife that helps me. My wife's the one that decorates all of our properties. She does an amazing job. I think what you'll see in this lake property is a true manifestation of what happens with nothing coming with the house, basically a zero-sum palette, right? And it's more than just the design. This was just kind of a drab house. It was great. The bones were awesome when we purchased it. And I want to kind of emphasize here, you see the first 5 images, people don't focus on this enough, right? So I'm showing this view. The big hero image is the view from the deck, but also that same view from the kitchen, the dining room table, and the family room, because the windows are so large looking out. Then we want to show the view back up to the top. You see the top right-hand image is the coffee bar that I was telling you about.
Oh, yes.
And then down below, you see the fire pit. And so we tie in the story in our description to what we're walking through with the images here as well. But then we go in and we really want to focus on how they're going to utilize the property as well.
Excellent. Really nice. Are people able to like take boats out on the lake?
They can. So we have a boat and 2 wave runners or sea-doos. They do not get to use our equipment. There's too much liability in that.
Yeah.
But yes, they can. We have a double slip and a swim dock. We provide 2 kayaks, 2 paddle boards, and a lily pad, which is like a 18-foot long mat. that they can get on, but they can also bring their boat as well. So it's early. We just started renting in the fall. We've had one person that's brought a boat and utilized the dock.
Nice.
And that's a huge advantage. Most people don't allow people to do that.
Gotcha. Yeah. But I'm sure there's boats around the area you can rent or something?
Yeah, but it's kind of a pain in the ass. The service isn't very good. So what I've done is I partnered with a concierge. So we actually offer the ability for our guests, if they want to rent a boat, we take care of everything for them through the concierge. Nice. They've got to pay the rental fee, but I actually keep my concierge on retainer. It's 45-minute boat ride to go to and an hour to drive there around the lake. So they will pick up and deliver the boat for them to the dock.
That's really nice.
Cool. So we also offer through that concierge the ability, because this is very remote. It's 3.7 miles on a dirt road just to get to this property, right? So we also partner with a concierge to where they will deliver groceries. If they send me a grocery list, and we charge them for this, it's $125, but we will stock the entire kitchen and everything for them, because there is no Shipt or Postmates or anything out in this remote area, right? And we don't go to the shitty grocery store 15 minutes away. We go into town, which is a 40-minute drive, to go to a really nice Publix, to get good meat, high quality, components, and do that type of stuff. We've also had a private chef already at our house. So, and I don't make any commission, no affiliate commission. I don't upcharge. It's 100% pass through as amenities just to be able to provide to the guests.
Yeah, that's great. That's coffee bar.
So that's the coffee bar that I said earlier. It's got French press. It's got everything that comes with it. Kind of branded, grinder, ground coffee, K-cups, beans that they can grind, everything that you could imagine. We stock it about every 3 months. It's probably going to be about a $1,400 investment is what I estimate through the entire 12-month process if we're at 65 to 75% occupancy. But nobody has picked up on this yet. Nobody's doing anything like this. There's a reason that that's in my first 5 images.
Yeah.
Because it really is going to attract the coffee buyers or the coffee drinkers. And about 4 out of our, I think we've had 6 or 7 reviews so far, out of them have mentioned the coffee bar.
Oh, yes.
It's all included. They can drink as much as they want. Drink 10 cups a day. I don't care.
Yeah. That's awesome. The fire pit. Yep. You said you just built it recently.
So yes, that's a fire pit. We've also got a fireplace. This is something that's more important to us than the fireplace because we want to tie into the kids. And in our listing, we talk about that we have s'mores kits that we provide to them that my wife actually makes by hand with chocolate, with marshmallows, with graham crackers, with everything, and they're branded and they're packaged in the s'mores kit station in the kitchen for when they arrive. So I want to target to the kids in this scenario more than I'm trying to target to the parents. That's our branding for the house.
Oh, wow.
So in our welcome basket, we, I don't know if I have one here. I don't have one in my office, but we give a hat. We have the snacks like everybody else, but I've got a camouflage hat with the logo. 2 pairs of sunglasses that are branded. And the reason that we do that is the first week we bought the house when we were there, I lost 2 pairs of sunglasses, and one was an expensive pair of Ray-Bans in the water when we were out on the dock. So now we have these cheap, plastic branded sunglasses. We give them 2 pairs with the croquis that go around it.
Yeah.
And a hat. What else? We give them 6 koozies with our brand on it, and then the snacks and everything else along with the welcome guide when they check in.
Nice. That's really awesome. Oh man. That's so cool.
So the other cool part about the uniqueness of this location is this lake is the second clearest lake in the South. From Texas all the way to Florida and Kentucky, South Carolina, North Carolina, you can go out at the end of that dock in the summer and it's 15, 16 feet down to the bottom and you can see the bottom of the lake.
Oh.
It's like going to Lake Tahoe.
Yeah. No, that's great.
So that's my wife and my 2 daughters. Once again, just showing people having fun, I think is something that's really important and how they can utilize that. And that's actually on Labor Day weekend.
Awesome. The coffee bar. That's a good shot of the coffee bar. And so with photographers, how do you hire somebody? How do you handle that usually?
If I wasn't married to a lady that does very well on Instagram,
there you go.
probably would hire a professional photographer, but she's
nice.
really good with her photos, so I'm not.
Right.
So I'd let her, she takes all the photos for all of our properties.
Yeah.
It's the s'more station.
That's so cool. And that comes like, kind of like, that's how it comes in terms of when you arrive.
That's correct. So that's something we don't put in our listing. That's we show the fire pit. We do that stuff. It's just a small +1 that I believe in. So I've got 2 or 3 +1s, which is the add-on, the surprise element that I leave for every guest at every one of our properties. So a lot of people take everything and they put it into their listing. Well, then it's expected. I'm a huge believer in delivering some unexpected things.
Over delivering. Yes.
Correct. Just like firewood. I have 2 cords of firewood at this place every time a guest checks in. And then you can see the design there is a little bit different. So all of that was designed by my wife. Couches, throw pillows, carpets. And one thing that becomes really important, she has a very particular way that she wants our bed staged, the pillows, the couches, that type of stuff. So we take photos of it, send it to our cleaners. We actually do walkthroughs as we go through the interview process with our cleaners, and then our cleaners have to go through the checklist, and then they either FaceTime with me or my wife when they're leaving, or they send us photos to make sure everything's staged properly.
Nice. Have like some of that automation in there.
And you can see those are updated. She just did that over Thanksgiving to get into kind of the Christmas spirit. So we do make some small changes from Halloween to Thanksgiving to Christmas at all of our properties. So like that's really important. And just to showcase something, if you paid attention, you see the carpet, you see the throw on the bed, you see the pillow colors. The red's only there because of Christmas, but then you see that shiplap, which is an accent wall we put, that's the master bedroom, which is really important because you see it when you walk in, but we design off of a primary color, a secondary color, and a tertiary color. And one of my biggest pet peeves that I see that doesn't show up well in images and staging and for a guest experience is when people don't have, a design palette. So blue is our primary color that we have here. White is our secondary color, and there's grays for our tertiary color. So interestingly, you kind of get all of them, in this palette in the bedroom. And the gray is actually the photo of the horse, looking up there. That's a black and white photo that has grays inside of it.
That's good. Bathroom.
So that actually is the master bathroom. I thought about ripping that out, but I'm glad that I didn't. It's the only property that we have that is ADA compliant and wheelchair accessible. That has already proved to be beneficial for us. So that's a roll-in shower. We've got a ramp that comes up the side of the house from the carport, and everything is minimum 36-inch doorways. There's no 30-inch doorways, so somebody can get a wheelchair through the entire property.
That's brilliant. I've always, loved the big doorways, no matter what. I've moved a lot of furniture, so.
Exactly. Built-in full over full bunks, which I love. I've never had custom built-in bunks before.
That's cool, yeah.
That's because of my daughter's golden doodle, just FYI. Yeah.
I love the story behind some of the small details.
Well, as you know, from a marketing standpoint, you got to tell that story, right? So we talk about those things in all of our marketing and positioning.
Yeah. Is there a lot of wildlife out in this?
This is actually in the Bankhead National Forest. So yes, there is. We were there over Thanksgiving. We saw probably 10 or 20 deer while we were there. There's bald eagles there. There's everything you can imagine except for there's no bear, thank goodness.
Oh yeah. outdoor space.
Outdoor dining, one of our favorite things.
Yeah. No, especially it's outdoor dining it's ideal because you're out in beautiful nature. Yeah, especially there. Like it looks like amazing. Yeah.
Cool.
That's so cool, Bill. I really appreciate you taking time to like educate us and then also just share about like your insight and showing off your properties, talking through them. Like people are able to. I'm sure you guys are able to learn so much and stuff. So thank you again so much, Bill. It was a pleasure talking with you and stuff.
You're very welcome, Brian. Thanks for having me. Thank you, everybody else. Hopefully you get some value out of this. If you did, jump over to Facebook and join Build Short-Term Rental Wealth. Happy to keep helping you. We release videos there and on our YouTube channel every week.
Awesome. Yep. Check them out, guys. Okay, cool.
Thanks, Brian.
Till next time. My pleasure.